Cause we really need you down here. From all the pain that we going through, we know that you real, so can you fall through? Father, have mercy when we call on you.
How far you say you?
About 5 minutes. I raise my children up to say the same shit. Dear Lord, I hope you hear my prayers, because we really need you down here. From all the pain that we going through, we know that you real, so can you fall through? Father, have mercy when we call on you. But I just wanna fall on you, to show the devils you ain't nothing to play with. I raise my children up to say the same shit.
Yeah. Go ahead. Come on, West. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look, I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother way. Tell them get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Go ahead. This shit is too easy. I'm on go, but they don't believe me. You know I'm winning with the team. Screaming Vinny, VG. Hear them devils screaming out bloody murder. I'm about to close the curtain. Mama grind, bitch, and work. Sorry, all them lies, it ain't working. Them niggas weak, they be churchin'. I'm a West nigga, that's for certain. If he cross the line, I'ma back up and I'ma hit his ass with his virus. And I come through 300 strong, 144 Leonidas. All my niggas, we eatin'. I'm in this bitch with the itis. Say, all y'all do the sweet. Tell y'all to do the sweet. If a nigga made the wrong move, he make his ass obsolete. He ain't one of us, hit the lead. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead. Look, I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell them get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat.
You see this look that's on my face, bitch, I'm for real with it. I hit the streets, put on my cleats, was in the field with it. You soft as cotton, just an actor, Uncle Phil with it. And then my target's on the move, but I can still hit it. Hey, I speak true cause it's necessary. Gullah Jack revolutionary. Cold on them like January. Commander General is a visionary. Soul food, no sweets. Your preacher man, he's sweet. Matter of fact, he weak. It's wartime for peace. Think you hard, nigga, you ain't. Fuck with us, nigga, you can't. You smart cars, we takes. We form up in ranks. We body bag this rap shit. All black, no bright shit. Real life, no cap, bitch. Fall on them, that's cap shit.
I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell them get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Go ahead.
I can't let no holder lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert, another cop can stretch the nigga. He a demon, this an exorcism, watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision, let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit and I ain't listening, is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I scope that bitch like Jake. So Tower War, we gon' run the summer, it's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it Young Black. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? When he saying something, I ain't hear him. This shit like it ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain frame. Shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand and feed you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow side, yeah, this the real McCoy. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still up on my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get that boy lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his gang, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer War holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible to reclaim their righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, I'd like to start the class off with questions. If there's any brothers or sisters in the class online and have questions, type them in. If there's any brothers or sisters in the room, raise your hand. I'll call on you. You can ask your question, all right? If there are no questions for tonight's class, then we'll go ahead and get into the topic. What you see on the screen is the coming of the Son of Man. All right, started the class yesterday, titled In the Days of Noah, where we discussed the society and the world that Noah was living in during the days when the flood came, and how Christ in the New Testament said that in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, and how it would be the same in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And as we progressed through yesterday's class, we started to get into the social, political, economic status of the world that Christ was born into and grew up in. And so as we see Christ when he begins his ministry and goes out on the streets teaching, Christ is very clear and very adamant that he was sent to the poor, that he was sent to the downtrodden, that he was sent for the sick, and those who were in need of healing, those who were in need of a physician, those who were too poor to fend for themselves. And the message of Christ, in that now is the time to repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, resonates today just as it has over, in every generation over the last 2,000 some odd years. You understand? It's very necessary for us to understand that salvation and deliverance and the promises of the kingdom that come from God in the Bible were always for the poor. It was always for the oppressed. It was always for the downtrodden. There's a reason why, well, we're going to get into it today. There's a reason why Christ said that it's going to be hard for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. There's a reason why Christ said, don't be, when you give to the poor, when you give alms, don't be like the proud and be like the Pharisees and, be boastful and wanting to be seen by people. The good that you do it in private, and the Lord will reward you in public. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the concepts of Christ's teachings are foreign to the people that we're used to receiving the message from, because a lot of these leaders, a lot of these politicians, a lot of these religious leaders, they do not relate to the poor. They are not, in the streets, in the trenches among those who the message of salvation was delivered to. Even in today's society, where you have your mega churches and you have your pastors that the people choose are the ones who got the most money, who's selling the most books, who's flying on the jet, who's wearing the expensive clothing. That has always been the status of those who were presented before the oppressed people as their leaders. And Christ in the New Testament addressed that with the Pharisees and Sadducees. He talked about the riches and the wealth of those who were at the top, and how it was a slap in the face, really, and a it's not a shame, but almost a mocking of the poor. So it's important for us to understand the message of Christ towards the poor during the days when he walked on the earth, and why that was his ministry, why that was his sticking point, and how it applies to the world that we're living in today, and how we should be preparing for the coming of the Son of Man, while also acknowledging the things in society that point out just how close we are to the coming of those days. Everybody understands? So I don't see any questions in the chat. If there are no questions, then we'll go ahead and get into the topic. All right. So I'm gonna give y'all a couple more seconds. Let me say Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah Barak Atham to all the brothers. Yahweh Shema Lathab Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah to all the sisters that's joining in. Those are the Hebrew greetings that we have here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You understand? I see some brothers out there checking in. You understand? I see young man Chris from Mississippi checking in. Shalom. I see the sisters. I got, the sisters that's always riding with me. Sisters, I want to say Nazamana, Sister Aina Yah, Sister Asa out there in California, and Sister Kapat Nazar. I believe Kapat Nazar, we spoke at the feast. I think you had a couple questions you wanted to ask in class. So I'll give you a second, Kapat Nazar, to ask those questions. If you wanted to pass on it, Kapat Nazar, you could just say pass, all right? And we'll go into the first scripture. Young man Chris, I'm still waiting to get them pictures from you in all black. You know what I'm saying? You've been coming in strong. You've been checking in. You're tuning into the classes. I need to see you in that all black, so I know you're serious about this thing. All right. But let me go ahead and get these scriptures together while I wait to see if anybody has a question. All right. Okay, come on with it, Kapatazar. Go ahead and put the questions in the chat, all right? We'll go ahead and deal with those first. All right, waiting for the sister to come through. Damn, this is heavy. Damn. Okay, Sister Kapatazar had a question. She said, is faith and ethnicity deeply connected? Right. Now, since you said this questions came from a video that you watched about some sisters being questioned about their belief, and I believe you told me that they're Muslim sisters, there's some Jewish women, or there's some Christian women, some Muslim women, and some Hebrew Israelite women, if I remember correctly. And these questions that they asked in the video, you watch these sisters answer the question about in class. All right. So the first question she has is faith and ethnicity deeply connected? Right. Now, if you're asking this question to the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we would tell you absolutely that every nation on the earth, every race of people on the earth have a belief system that is connected to their culture, connected to their race, to their identity. You understand? So if you go over to China, the Chinese have a religion and a belief system that is based in their culture. That Buddhism, with there's Buddhism, there's Taoism, there's these cultures and religions that involves a lot of meditation, involves a lot of being still and learning how to control your reactions and responses to things. It's a lot of being at peace and the whole damn the chanting that they do in the Buddhism, that's associated to their culture, their religion. Even the gods that the Buddhists have, that fat Buddha man, he's a Chinese man, he's an Asian, looks like them. He's something they can connect to. Then you go to East India, you go to the Indians with the red dot. You know what I'm saying? They have their gods. Their gods is associated with their culture, with their beliefs. You know what I'm saying? The elephant god. Why they got an elephant god? Because they have elephants in their culture. You know what I'm saying? Why do they have a god with dreadlocks? Because that's that whole nat, their god requires them to nat groom themselves and to nat bathe and to nat shower. Well, hell, even if they wanted to bathe and shower, there's a lot of nat being able to bathe and shower and going on over there. So their customs and their culture is ingrained in their beliefs, and you can apply that across all the different races on the earth. You understand? The gods of the Romans largely, deal with violent violent assault of women to make children. There's a lot of parents doing evil to their children involved in those Greek and Roman religions. There's a lot of family infighting. There's a lot of incest. There's a lot of man on man love going on in their culture. So it's reflective in their religion. Well, the same applies to the Bible and Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? Our belief, our faith is deeply tied to our culture and our customs. And even before we encountered our oppressor, even before we were colonized, we were a people that was deeply connected to the invisible God. We were a people that had a faith and a trust in a thing that could not be seen. That's why the Native Indians, would do rain dances to bring the rain in the season. And they prayed to the Great Spirit. That's why, Black people have always had this, strong sense of connection to the Most High, to a power that can't be seen. That faith was not given to us by our oppressor in Christianity. That faith and that trust in the Most High is not something that we got, from our oppressor. It's something that has always been with us. And so now today in 2026, as Black people are beginning to once again search for God and try to find something they connect to. When we open up this Bible and we're reading this Bible, we're reading about oppression. We're reading about a people who are in captivity. We're reading about a people who were enslaved. We read about a people who were forced against their will to celebrate customs and to practice things that went against what their God gave them. And those people had to fight and endure and overcome in order to be able to worship their God, in order to be able to have their identity. And guess what? If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you can relate to that. You can identify with it. You can tangibly connect to the prophecies in the Bible about the children of Israel, because it is literally the life that we have lived as Blacks in this country. It's literally the life that we've lived as Hispanics and Caribbean and Native American indigenous people. We can relate to the plight of the Israelites in the Bible because it's our story. Right? So, yes, faith and ethnicity is deeply connected no matter what you believe or where you are from on the earth. Your religion, your belief is closely tied to your racial and cultural identity. All right. Second question the sister had was, is Christ the only path to salvation? Well, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is salvation? And salvation is deliverance from sin, deliverance from the punishments and the consequences of living a life that is disobedient to God. You understand? That's what salvation is. Salvation isn't, living a nice life. Salvation isn't having, all the money that you could ask for. Salvation isn't being able to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. And, salvation isn't floating up in the sky into the clouds. Salvation is freedom from your oppressor to obey the laws of God and to not have anyone interfere with that or try to, stop you from doing that. Salvation is being delivered out of a kingdom, out of an empire where you and your people are enslaved, where you and your people are subjected to wickedness and evil, where what's promoted, it goes against the laws of God. There is nobody on the planet that needs salvation but the children of Israel, because they are the only people on the planet that God gave his laws to. They're the only people on the planet that God has been dealing with directly. And so because we're the people that God has been dealing with directly, we are the people that have suffered the consequences of disobedience to God. And the only way that we're going to learn how to not disobey God is to follow the example that Christ set. So yes, Christ is the only path to salvation. Salvation is only for so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Why do I say that? In these other countries, in these other places around the world where people are being oppressed, you know who's oppressing them? Their own people. You go over to China, the oppressor of the Chinese man is the Chinaman. You go over there to East India, the oppressor of the poor Indian man is a rich Indian man. You look in, the white community, the oppressors of poor white people are rich white people. Who are the oppressors of blacks, though? It's white people. Who are the oppressors of Native Indians? It's white people. Who are the oppressors of the brothers and sisters in the Caribbean? There's a lot of different oppressors in the Caribbean. The Chinese, the Arabs, the East Indians. You understand? But the point is, our oppressors are other races. Our oppressors are not strangers, are not people that we don't speak the same language as and have the same culture as. In these other nations across the world, though, their oppressors are their own people. So they don't need salvation. They're not looking to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for deliverance. They're not looking to the God of Moses and David and Yahushua. They're looking, the East Indians are looking to Krishna. They looking to Shiva to deliver them. The Chinese is looking to Buddha to teach them how to pray and how to, sit still long enough that they ain't got to work in a sweatshop. The white man is praying to Zeus and praying to Gandalf the Great and, goddamn Kratos, the god of war. That's who they praying to. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are praying to the Most High through Christ because he came to show us the way that we can get free. Everybody understands? So that's what you got to understand about salvation. Christ is the only path to salvation. And then finally, she asks, do we know who the true Israelites are according to the Bible? Yes, we know who the true Israelites are according to the Bible. The evidence is all throughout the prophecies in the scriptures. You open up this Bible and you read the prophecies concerning what would happen to the children of Israel if they disobeyed God, and they apply historically, accurately, and tangibly to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, the children of the diaspora. You understand? There's a world-recognized term called the diaspora, which is the spreading apart or the what does diaspora mean? Let's get the definition of the word diaspora so I can be clear on it. But the children of the diaspora were prophesied in the Bible. You understand? So all of us who are part of the diaspora, we are the people that God spoke to in the Bible and warned about the consequences of disobeying him. All right. And so if anybody wants to, needs the proof that we are the children of Israel. You just go in the Bible and show them all the prophecies concerning what the Lord was going to do to Israel if we disobeyed. Everybody understands. This is the definition of the word diaspora. It's spelled D-I-S-P-O-R-A. All right. D-I-S-P-O-R-A-S says the definition of diaspora. It says the Jews living outside Israel, usually used with the settling of scattered communities of Jews outside Palestine after the Babylonian exile. Reading on, the area outside ancient Palestine settled by Jews. Now look, here's what's crazy. The literal definition of the term diaspora is talking about the Jews being scattered across the four corners of the earth, right? That's what the term diaspora means. Who's been spread across the four corners of the earth via slavery other than blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? In the dictionary definition, it tells you that it's talking about us. You understand? But let's move on. This is the second definition. It says people settled far from their ancestral homelands. You understand? People settled far from their ancestral homelands are the people of the diaspora. Well, guess what? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians we're settled far from our homelands. Those Native Indians that Christopher Columbus put on ships and sailed to Spain, they had to get off those boats over there in Europe, and they were far from their homeland. Those brothers and sisters who fled from Spain and Portugal during the days of the Spanish Inquisition, they ran into North Africa, North and West Africa. Guess what? They were part of the diaspora. When those people were found in West Africa and put on ships and boats and brought to America to be slaves, guess what? We were part of the diaspora. When Native Indians fought wars against the French, fought wars against the Spanish, fought wars against the Americans in North America and got put on boats in Jamestown, Virginia, put on boats in Charleston, South Carolina, and got shipped down to Barbados. They got off those boats. They were the children of the diaspora. You understand? Our brothers and sisters were sent from North America to South America. They were part of the diaspora. Captured in Brazil and shipped up into the Gulf of Mexico and landed in New Orleans, in Louisiana, with French-speaking devils having them chop sugarcane. They were the children of the diaspora. You understand? The Bible prophesies the diaspora. The Bible prophesies going into slavery on ships. The Bible prophesies God's people losing their identity, losing their culture, having it stripped from them. And the Bible says that we would be the only people that could have that story. Right now on the planet in 2026, there is not a race of people who have been completely disconnected from their history and their culture going back past 400 years, except for Black Americans, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and the people of the Caribbean. Everywhere else on the planet, people have retained their culture. You go to Africa right now, you go in the bushes of Africa right now, they still speaking they language. They still speaking they grunting, whatever language they was grunting in them woods, butt naked in Africa. They still speaking their language. So guess what? They can't relate to the prophecies in the Bible of having their culture and their language stripped from them. Over there in Nigeria and Chad and Sierra Leone, they still speak their language. They still know the gods they worship. I'm seeing this thing on the internet now about these Nigerian and these Ghanaian gods, these West African gods popping up, the Orishas and all of this bullshit. Black people, that's not your culture. If you descended from slaves in America, you can't relate to that shit. The Orishas aren't your people. They're your gods. The Orishas aren't your culture. They love to look at Black American culture and the way we dance and say, yeah, man, that's that African dance they was doing in the bush. Bullshit. With that African dance they doing in the bush is not beating your feet. It's not doing the hot feet that they do in Baltimore or crazy legs and all that stuff, them dances we do. That shit we didn't get that from Africans. That's not some ancestral thing passed down from Africa. Man, that's our culture. We the people in the Bible that partied and celebrated and did dances. It said David danced so hard his damn robe came open and his rod was hanging out. We the people that party. There's stories in the Bible of men going to the club and getting women. When the war broke out, civil war broke out in Israel, and they fought against the sons of Benjamin. And they killed so many of the Benjamites that there was no men, there was no women left for them to make babies with. they took the sons of Benjamin and told them that on the north side of Bethel, there's a place where the daughters of Dan come out to dance the dances. And the sons of Benjamin went to this club that was on the north side of Bethel, and they danced the dances with the daughters of Dan, and they all took with them wives that they found. So this is in the Bible, a story of men going to the club looking for a wife. They go dance and take women home with them. That's our culture. That's black culture. That's Hispanic and Native Indian culture. We doing that to the day. If you a single woman, black woman out there, you on Saturday getting dressed up, looking in the mirror, and you going to the club, hoping that there's a man that's at home in the mirror, getting dressed, putting on cologne to go to the club. Why? So he can catch you and make you his wife. The culture and the identity of the history of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is in the Bible. It is the culture of the Israelites. And we have been disconnected from that culture the way that God prophesied we would. And that is the proof that we are the people that the Bible's speaking of. You understand? So those are the answers to those questions, Sister Kapat Desire. You take those, and now if you ever get a chance to get on the show, you know how to answer these questions, and you know exactly what to say. Everybody understands. All right. So any other questions before I go ahead and continue with the topic of tonight's class? Again, if there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So tonight we're going to talk about the social, political, economic climate of the days that Christ walked on the earth. So last night we touched on a little bit about the leadership during the days that Christ walked the earth. I gave y'all the backdrop of the history leading up to the birth of Christ, with the fall of the Hashmonean dynasty, with the rise of with the fall of the Hashmonean dynasty, the Romans taking Edomites and putting them in positions of power. We talked about Herod and how he descended from Edomites, and how Herod brought with him a court for him to be king. He brought Edomites and put them in positions of authority and power. Herod would have been responsible for choosing the high priest, for deciding who was in the courts and all the things like that. And so there's a backdrop of a political social class at the top of the society of Christ's day, and Christ knowing that they are not Israelites. Knowing that they were not his people, knowing that they were the enemy, they were of the seed of their fathers, the devil, and Christ having a great disdain for them, having a great anger and a frustration and a hatred for those who were ruling over his people and were dishonoring the seat of their power, the seat of their authority. And it's woven all throughout the New Testament accounts of Jesus' life that he really did not like these guys, that he really was anti-leadership. You understand? And the revolution that Christ came to deliver to the poor, deliver to the sick, deliver to the downtrodden of his people was, now is the time that we have to turn to the Lord and depend on him. Now is not the time that we can depend on leadership. Now is not the time that we can look up for somebody to help us and to give us, deliverance. Now is the time that we have to turn to the Lord. And so we talked yesterday about Christ healing the sick, Christ saying that he didn't come. He came for those who were sick, came for those who needed a physician. He didn't come for the whole. He didn't come to give repentance to the righteous. And so I want to go into some of these scriptures in the New Testament that really highlight the poverty and the disparity between those who had and those who had not. All right. So I could really just go to Matthew 23 and read the whole Matthew 23, but there's other instances that I want to cover where Christ talks to the people about not being ashamed that they are poor. Christ does a lot of, talking to the people and letting them know that it is okay that you were poor, that being poor is not a condition of God not being with you, that being poor is not a condition of God not loving you. Christ goes out of his way to say that really God is against those that are rich. Those who are rich and have more than everybody, they are the ones who are the most troubled. They are the ones who have it the worst. I know you're poor and I know you don't have a lot, but you are rich. You are the Lord's chosen people. And it's a message that is necessary for us today because we live in a time and an era where, the depression and the sadness and the hopelessness and the feelings of, worthlessness that come from not having money is absolutely an evil, horrible thing that many of us suffer with, that many of us experience. And it if you don't have the truth and you don't know how to navigate poverty, it can destroy you. Everybody understands. So let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I mean, I really could just go to Matthew 23 because this is Christ addressing the Pharisees and Sadducees directly. Let me see something. Well, you know what? Let's go directly to Matthew chapter 5 because this is really where we begin to see, the revolutionary tones of Christ's ministry, of Christ's teaching. Christ's teachings was absolutely revolutionary and was a threat to the powers that be because Christ spoke directly to the poor, spoke directly to the powerless. He spoke directly to those who did not have political power or had legal authority or had money to be able to make their crimes and their, the ills of society go away. And so the first place where we can understand the socio-economic political climate of the time that Christ arrived in is in Matthew the 5th chapter. So let's go ahead and start with Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. All right, Sister Anaya said, my thing is people weird to think Mexicans are not Israelites when they were very much a part of the slave trade. They were carried to Mexico. Why do black people deny Mexicans when they can be looked up on the internet? Well, Sister Anaya, the reason why there's division between blacks and Hispanics, it goes back to biblical times. You understand? Go back to the Bible. You read the Bible. Why did the Northern Kingdom have beef with the Southern Kingdom? When Israel was split, why did it split among Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and then Ephraim and the rest of the tribes? This is the reason why there's a split between blacks and Hispanics today. You understand? That division between the brothers has always been there. Now, a lot of the hatred that black people have for Hispanics or have for Latinos or have for Caribbean folks comes from the perceived family strength and togetherness of those tribes. There's a lot of black Americans that are jealous of how Mexicans stick together. They're jealous of how Jamaicans band together, jealous of how the Trinidadians and the Haitians and the Cubans come to America and look out for each other. So because black people have been destroyed by American political pressures, a lot of our Caribbean brothers, a lot of our Hispanic brothers didn't experience the same thing. So when they come to this country, we look at them and see that they together, that they got a business together. It's, we see the amigos on a construction site making money and buying houses, but we don't see that, there's 20 of them in a 2-bedroom for 5 years. We ignore that part. We act like Mexicans out of nowhere just got rich and came over here getting businesses. Nah, they work hard. They work hard. They get paid less. They get all their family on the job. They get the job done quick. They work hard and they save their money up and they buy what they need. And it's an envious spirit that's on a lot of black people when they see the strength and the togetherness of the Hispanics. And so they hate them and they say, they ain't our people. They don't love us. They don't care about us. It's black people killing black people in the ghetto. Somehow these Mexicans, they hate us though. We don't look at blacks killing blacks. There's people that look at history and say, yeah, man, the Native Indians was part of the slave trade. As if there wasn't Uncle Tom's sellout, field niggas that were black slaves that told on the runaways, that told on the field niggas. Like, That division exists. It's not unique to blacks and Mexicans or blacks and Puerto Ricans or Dominicans and Haitians. It's all over the 12 tribes, and it's always been something that we dealt with even back to biblical times when we was in our own land. All right? All right, so let's go ahead and get Matthew chapter 5. We're going to start at verse 1. I'm trying not to read the whole thing. I'm going to read Matthew chapter 5, and I'm going to read down to verse 7. All right. It's Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. It says, and seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, now, Christ is gathered before a large multitude. This is a giant crowd that came out to hear Christ speak this day. And so when you got a giant crowd of people before you, you're gonna it would reason to think that this message would be the most important for all the people to hear. You understand? And so as Christ gathers this large group of people together, what is the message that he has for them from God? Let's read. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. It says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You understand? Now understand, for the people that are listening to this, all of these Israelites that are gathered to hear Christ speak, in their minds, the kingdom of heaven is there ruling the earth. The Bible prophecy of the coming of the Messiah is that there's a man that's going to come, and we are going to fulfill the promise that God gave to Abraham, which is that we would rule the earth, that we would possess the land, and all the other nations would be under us, and we would live forever in prosperity in this land. So when Christ says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, Christ is saying that kingdom that God promised to Abraham, it's going to go to the poor in spirit. What makes someone poor in spirit? What makes someone being poor in spirit is like being depressed. Being poor in spirit is like being hopeless. Being poor in spirit is living in poverty and not having a way out. So it breaks you down to wake up every day and to realize that this is your life of begging and scrounging and scrambling and robbing Peter to pay Paul, or showing up to some job and having to work extra hours, being away from your family and still not having enough to pay all your bills, never being able to get ahead. Those are the poor in spirit. Now, if you're hearing this and you're someone who's rich, you're someone that's wealthy, someone that your spirits are always uplifted because you live in a good life. What does it mean when you hear this man tell the poor that the kingdom of heaven is theirs? It means the kingdom of heaven is not yours. You understand? Christ talking to the poor and giving them and letting them know that the kingdom of heaven was theirs is the same as saying the kingdom of heaven is not for the rich men. The kingdom of heaven is not for the politicians and the religious leaders. The kingdom of heaven is not, for all of these celebrities that have all this money and have all this influence. They don't need salvation. They don't need to be delivered. God isn't coming to establish a kingdom for them because they're living in the white man's heaven right now. They're in their kingdom. Everybody understands? So again, Matthew 5 and 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Verse 4, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Why were the people mourning during this time? They're mourning because they are in horrible oppression. They're mourning because their lives are, on the line every day. Because these Romans are cruel. These oppressors kill people and unalive them, and there's nothing that can be done. These people are living in fear, living under the threat of their empire, of their land being taken from them, and their children, being unalived at any time. Christ said, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Well, guess what? What about those who aren't mourning? What about the rich and the wealthy whose children aren't getting gunned down in the streets? The rich and the wealthy whose children aren't being shot running from a Chinese man at a goddamn gas station over $1 of water. What about the people who aren't affected by the Voting Rights Act being rolled back because they got money and riches? They could leave the country anytime. Guess what? There's no comfort for them. There's no comfort for the people who living good enough that they aren't mourning every day. These words of Christ were revolutionary for the poor and against the rich at the same time. Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. What does it mean to be meek? To be meek means to be powerless. To be meek means you don't have any influence over society. You don't have any sway over the decisions that are made. Christ is not talking to the politicians. Christ is not talking to the pastors in the church. Christ is not talking to the celebrities with these platforms where they can say what they say and people listen to them and follow them. Christ is not talking to the recipients of APAC money. Christ is not talking to the recipients, to those who sat on the casting couch. Christ isn't talking to the people that pledged to the Divine Nine, Greek fraternity organizations. Christ is talking to the people who are poor that have been overlooked by everybody. Christ is talking to the niggas everybody forgot about. Christ is talking to the kids whose mamas was on crack. Christ is talking to the little girls who have never been protected, who've never been watched over. Christ is talking to the little boys who never had nobody to show them how to be a man, that grew up around women, and all he knows how to do is act out and be angry and lash out because of the frustration of his life. Christ ain't talking about the rich, wealthy niggas that can go and pay for therapy. Nah. These words of Christ were comfort for the poor and a threat to the rich. Because if Christ is saying, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, well, what about those of us who have power? What about those of us who have influence? We're not going to get to inherit the earth? The earth isn't going to pass to us? No, it's not passing to you. It's going to bypass you. You understand? The same way the death angel passed over the children of Israel in the days of the exodus of Egypt, the kingdom of heaven is going to pass over the rich and the wealthy among our people who have eaten deliciously and lived wonderfully while we've starved in the ghetto. When the salvation of Christ comes, they are not going to be on those chariots. They are not going to be rewarded for being rich and living a wonderful life while watching their people starve, while watching their people be unalive. You think Christ is coming back for politicians in the United States government? You think Christ is coming back for black politicians that have watched black people die and be destroyed by these devils for the last 200 years and have done nothing? You think Christ is coming back for black people that's celebrating 250 years of America this summer? Christ ain't coming back for that. You are not going to inherit the earth. You aren't the meek that the Bible is speaking of. If you can understand that these words that Christ is speaking is telling the poor, you're going to rule one day. You're going to be in charge. God is going to move heaven and earth for you. To all the poor and the wealthy, it's telling them, you niggas aren't shit. You niggas are disgusting and evil, and God is going to wipe you out. If somebody in power is hearing that the poor and the powerless are going to be rulers, well, then what about me if I'm in power right now? That means I got to be overthrown. That means I got to be taken down. That means I got to be removed from my seat of power. And that is what the message that was the Pharisees and the Sadducees received. They understood, they picked up what Christ was laying down. They fully understood the threat that Christ was speaking, and I'll show it to you in the next couple of scriptures we get to. Let's keep reading. Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. You understand? What does it mean to hunger and thirst for righteousness? Those who just want justice. Hungry for justice. Hungry for a world where, people do the right thing. Thirsty for a life where, the rich take care of the poor. Where the powerful defend the poor and don't abuse them and take advantage of them. Christ is saying, you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you will be filled. Guess who wasn't hungry or thirsty for righteousness? All of those who were perverting judgment. All of those who was in the government and passing bills and laws to the detriment of the people. all of them that were, taskmasters set over the poor to keep them pacified, to keep them in line, to tell them, sing a song and do a dance and pray and everything gonna be all right. They were not hungering and thirsting for righteousness. They were perfectly fine with the way things were. And that's rich black people in America today. Those are your politicians in America today. There's a politician down here in Memphis named Julian Pearson. Julian Pearson is, he wears an afro and wear glasses, make himself look like a real, civil rights era black Negro. And I remember when the Elon Musk power plants was coming out, I went to a couple of them little rallies and a couple of them little things they had, the people coming out against those data centers. And that Julian Pearson, I put on a show. He get up there and yell, and we ain't gonna stand for this, and the black people ain't gonna be oppressed, and they're gonna take all this and that. He talked just like one of them old Martin Luther King 1960s niggas. And I watched him go up there in that state capitol building in Nashville when they did that vote to redistrict this area. Oh, he went up there and cussed out he's cussed out the state trooper, called him boy, and got up in the face of the state trooper. You would have thought Julian Pearson was down righteous, for the struggle for the black power of the people, nigga. Once they did the redistricting, and Julian Pearson's zone that used to be Memphis was extended 3 hours, 4 hours away to white communities, the next week Julian Pearson was hugging white people, kissing white babies. He took 3-4 hour drive and set up in some neighborhood and was telling white people to vote Democrat. That nigga don't care about you black people. That nigga don't care about Memphis. That nigga don't care about the poverty down here. He cares about getting reelected. He cares about that check and about that position of power. He cares about that authority. So much so, he'll go kiss white babies. You would think that what happened in Memphis and what happened in Tennessee with the redistricting, all of the black politicians would have said, man, F this system, F this place. They blatantly racist against us. Nope. They just pivoted. They just changed course. Well, gotta go kiss some white babies now. Gotta go take pictures with white people. You go see pictures. Go look at Julian Pearson, congressman from Memphis, re-election bid. You're going to see him kissing white babies, hugging white people, standing there, loving them in their face, because that's all they really care about. And guess what? Christ hated that. Oh, it boiled Christ's blood to watch these niggas grovel and to watch these niggas suck up to the Romans and to watch these niggas abuse the people all so they could keep them a little seat with the Romans. Christ hated that shit with a passion. Excuse my language. And we hate it today the same way. It's an honorable, anger. Honorable is a wise anger to look at the politicians and the religious leaders in the black and Hispanic community today and see how they've gotten rich by selling us out. How they've gotten rich by making sure we never revolt, we never rise up, we never fight against the white man. Everybody understands? Last verse here in Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And that's the big cut right there. I said, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. You know who's merciful? Poor black people are merciful. Poor black people have every reason to go and rage. We have every reason to want to break stuff, every reason to want to riot and protest, every reason to want to go and find every devil who exists and to go and get vengeance and get justice for the evil they've done to us. But black people don't do that. Poor black people are the most merciful people on the planet. You know who's not merciful? Your oppressor. Your oppressor is merciless. You know who's merciless? Those pastors in the Christian church. Pastors in the Christian church don't have no mercy. You bring your children in that church, they are going to have sex with them. You're a black man, you bring your beautiful wife in that church, the pastor is going to have sex with your wife in that church. Your grandmother is an old lady on a fixed income. Your pastor in that church is going to take her 10%. Then he's going to turn around and ask her for some money on the building fund. Then he's going to turn around and ask her for some money for the pastor's donation. Then he's going to turn around and ask her to give a gift and sow a seed. They are merciless. And when Christ spoke and said, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy, all of the rich politicians and religious leaders knew that Christ was saying, you niggas will get no mercy when the time comes. When the kingdom arrives, you will get no mercy. And they absolutely were threatened by the words of Christ and the things that he taught. You understand? Let's get some more on Christ going into, how it was not good to be like these Pharisees and Sadducees. Everybody understands. Let's get let's get Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6. Let's get verse 1. Hold on. Hold on. All right, so much here. God, man, come on, man. All right, let me just stay focused. Stay focused, all right? All right, so let's get Matthew chapter 6, verse 2. All right. Christ is constantly speaking in a way in the New Testament that lets you know that there were some people that he hated on. There were some people that he could not stand. And Christ was telling the people, like, Christ is so revolutionary that pastors don't even preach about Christ today. Like, there's been a major shift in church to where they don't really talk about Jesus like they used to. They only talk about Jesus' love and Jesus' kindness and Jesus' sweetness and Jesus' salvation and deliverance. They never talk about why Christ was put to death. Church never tells you why Christ was hated. They never tell you the reason that Christ had to be put to death. All these churches, the 2819 church with Philip Anthony Mitchell, that nigga never talk about why Christ was put to death. Creflo Dollar, TD Jakes, these Eddie Long, all of these great pastors that have been in the black community for years, raping us and getting rich off of our trust in God. They never taught the truth about Jesus. Because to teach the truth about Jesus is to condemn oppression. It's to rail against the powers that be, to rail against the oppressor, which is why they never teach it. You can ask 1,000 Christians today, right now, why did they kill Jesus? And they'll say because of love. They'll say they killed Jesus because of love, because he loved the people. And that is not why they killed Jesus. They did not kill Jesus because of love. You understand? They did not reject Jesus because they were rejecting love. They killed Jesus and rejected Jesus because he threatened their position. He threatened their spot. And Christ was right to threaten their position. He was right to threaten their spot because many of them were not even Israelites. And the ones that were had completely sold out and joined themselves to the Romans, to where they weren't even Israelites anymore. So Christ was 1,000% just and right and honorable in everything that he taught and he did. And they put him to death because he was a threat. Let's go ahead and read these scriptures that I pulled in Matthew chapter 6. We're going to read from verse 2 down to verse 6, all right? Also, too, if there's any brothers out there that want to read the scriptures, just type in, you know what I'm saying, Cap, can I get the link? And I'll put the link in there in the chat for you to be able to join up so you can read these scriptures for me, all right? This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 2. It says, therefore, when thou doest thine alms, What does it mean to do alms? To do alms is like to give a donation. Alms is not paying your tithes. Paying your tithes was mandatory. That was the law. To give alms is like to give to the poor, to give a donation, to contribute something that's supposed to go to the poor, the less fortunate. Christ is saying in Matthew 6:2, therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Now listen to this. Listen to what Christ is describing. Christ is describing a rich man that is coming to give a donation to the poor. But as he arrives to give the donations, he has a band blow trumpets. He has a celebration in the streets of look at this rich man, go rich man, go rich man, go, while he goes to give to the poor. You know what that's like? That's like a celebrity today putting on a community give back-a-thon where he bring out the news cameras and it's like I don't want to do it to the rappers, but it's like Yo Gotti and Young Dolph when he was alive in Memphis handing out turkeys. It's like, if you're going to just give back, just give back. You ain't got to make the news station come downtown and watch you do it and watch them have a giveaway. It's like the basketball team, the Memphis Grizzlies, do a community event and they have a band and a DJ play music while they give the kids toys. You could have just gave the toys. You could have just did it, invited people down and just did it quietly without the news cameras, without the publicity. You could have just gave to the poor. But the hypocrites make it a grand, amazing spectacle that you gave to the poor. And oftentimes this giving to the poor is not substantial. It's not, great amounts of money. It's chump change. Jeff Bezos, I don't want to get into to our oppressors, but there's a lot of rich men that they say do philanthropic work, but they don't really give anything of substance. They throw some money at the Red Cross, throw some money at this nonprofit organization, but they aren't actually, contributing in a meaningful way. But yet when they do contribute, they make it a spectacle. They make it a show. They make sure everybody know to remember that I'm rich man so-and-so, and I gave to these poor begging bastards who can't do right by themselves and can't, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Christ said, don't be like them. Christ called them hypocrites, which is that's a very strong word 2,500 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, Salakia. Calling someone a hypocrite 2,000 years ago is like saying, evil bastard, disgusting nigga. To call somebody a hypocrite is like the worst that you could call somebody. Christ said, don't be like them. Because Christ had witnessed this. Christ had saw that. Christ saw rich men making a huge deal of giving alms. And if you're going to just give alms, this is how Christ says to do it. Matthew 6:3. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Don't let nobody know that you giving alms. Just give it out. You ain't got to make a show of it, make it a spectacle. Those who do, they have their reward. Matthew 6:5. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Who's Christ talking about? These pastors in these mega churches. You know what I'm saying? The pastors that come out and pray for Donald Trump when he go to, give a speech. There's an evil, nasty bastard, some black nigga, some stepping fetch it, Uncle Tom, the worst nigga you could imagine. Donald Trump, they made a gold statue to Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. This nigga came to give the benediction. He came to give the praise and the honor. Even said in the giving praise and honor to Donald Trump, this ain't the golden calf of Egypt. This is the Donald Trump. And it's Christ said, them niggas, they have their reward. Don't be like them when you pray. Don't pray to, show everybody how much you love God and how close you are to God. The people that do that, they are hypocrites. Everybody understands? Matthew chapter 6, verse 6. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to the Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Everybody understand? Christ said there are men that everything they do it to be seen by men. Everything they do to be loved and to be, admired and lifted up on a pedestal. Christ said, don't be like them, man. Christ is talking to the poor and telling them that the Lord is pleased with you doing what you're able to do. The Lord is pleased with you doing the thing, having integrity is what it's called. Christ is pleased with those who have integrity, man. Do what you know to do and just get it done. You ain't gotta let nobody see it. You ain't gotta make a spectacle of it. You ain't gotta make it a big deal. Everybody understands. Christ said, those men that make it a big deal to be seen by men, they have their reward. All right. Let's drop that. Let's go down now to Matthew. We stay in Matthew chapter 6 a little bit. Let's get on Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Get Matthew 6 and 24. Again, these are Christ speaking words of comfort to poor people, but also speaking words of condemnation to the rich. All of these scriptures we're reading is Christ telling the people, these people here, don't be like them, because God does not love them. God does not want us to be like them. Everybody understand? Christ is letting the poor know the Lord sees everything. You don't have to be on the level to where you're doing it big. You ain't got to be on the level to where you're doing it and everybody's celebrating you and everybody praising you. Your struggles are going to be private. Your poverty is going to be private. Your barely getting by is going to be private. Guess what? Put your trust in the Most High. He'll reward you. Put your trust in the Lord. He's going to honor you for honoring him. Those who get rewarded openly, that do the thing to be seen by the public and get praised and held, guess what? They got their reward. Let them have their reward. You should be looking for the reward that comes from the Father, not the reward that comes from validation from man, not the reward that comes in the form of a pat on the back or a good boy. You shouldn't be looking for that. You should be looking for the reward that comes from the Father, which is in heaven. Now, this is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. It says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Christ is saying you can't have two masters. You're going to serve one, you're going to hate the other. You're going to love one, and you're going to despise the other. You can't serve God and serve money. You can't serve God and serve, materialism. You can't serve God and serve the power structure. Everybody understands? Christ is making a distinction. He's telling the people, you got to choose, man. You got to choose if you're going to serve the Lord or if you're going to serve serve the thing that puts money in your pocket. You're going to be loyal to the Lord or you're going to be loyal to that money. You're going to pledge your allegiance to the Most High or you're going to pledge your allegiance to that coin with Caesar's face on it. That's what Christ was talking about. Let's see if I can get the definition of mammon. Let's see something. Mammon. This is the definition of mammon. It says material wealth or possessions, especially as having a debasing influence. Everybody understands? You can't serve God and mammon. You can't chase after the Most High and also chase after the materialistic life. Which, if you understood this, nobody would look at pastors with Louis Vuitton and with red bottoms and think that that was godly. This is why they don't teach about this Jesus. They don't teach you about the words of Christ and the revolutionary teachings to the poor, because it'll make you look at every rich pastor like he's a goddamn fool, like he's a hypocrite, like he's an evildoer. You can tell who's chosen to serve mammon. Matthew chapter 6, verse 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. It is not the life more than is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment. Christ is saying, don't worry about the clothes you got on. Don't worry about the name brands. Don't worry if you're eating Oreos or if you're eating Chocolate-Eos. Don't worry if your kids got Fruit Loop or if your kids got Fruity Hoops. Don't worry about if they're eating Pop-Tarts or if they're eating Tart Pops. Yeah, I don't know. Salaki, I don't know the off-brand foods. Salaki, I've lived a life. I ate Fruit Loops and Cheerios and cornflakes. I don't know what the mother names are. But Christ is saying it's okay if you got to get the government Fruity Loops. It's okay if you got to get the Wick damn Cheerios. You understand? Don't worry about that. Even right now, you want to go to the grocery store, you want to buy organic. You want to buy, no GMO. Christ is saying, man, you better go to that market and eat that goddamn GMO and damn pesticide sprayed vegetables. You better go get you a green bell pepper. You better get you them apples in that case. You better go get you them oranges and hell, soak them apples in whatever that peroxide water, get that wax off. Go ahead and take them, take that rice and wash it 3 times to get all the arsenic off. Do what you gotta do. Don't feel bad about it. Don't worry about it. You understand? I'm so thankful I'm at a place in my life where I'm not going to have a problem taking my kids to the store and buying whatever shoes is at the Walmart, whatever shoes is at the whatever place, because I'm not going to make my kids be materialistic. I was raised materialistic. I remember a time in life when I was a young man before the truth where I could not go shop at Marshall's. I could not go shop at, TJ Maxx. Then I came into the truth and the Lord humbled me and I no longer could afford to go and buy the Coogee out of the store and go to the Coogee website and buy my clothes. I remember the first time I went in Marshall's, I found me some outfits that was like, nigga, 5 times cheaper than what I was normally paying. Found some good outfits in Marshall's. I was like, damn, you mean the whole time I could have been doing? I seen a video the other day. As a brother did a video, he went in Walmart and got fresh on their ass. He went in Walmart and put that shit on. I was like, damn, he went in there and said, made the Walmart $10 little slacks, got a little $10 white t-shirt, some off-brand random jersey. I would have never thought to just buy a jersey with the made-up team and made-up numbers on it. I'm like, who wears that? In my mind, the jersey got to be somebody you know. You got to recognize the player's name. This nigga went and bought a random off-brand shirt, random Carhartt jeans in Walmart. This brother spent about $30 in Walmart and was clean as hell. I was like, God damn. That brother know how to, he knows some things. It ain't got to be name brand. It ain't got to be designer. That's what Christ is saying. Don't take no thought, man. Don't worry about it. Do the clothes fit? Put them on. Do the shoes fit and give you comfort? Then put them on. What you worried about the brand for? What you worried about the name? The clothes don't make the man make the clothes. This is what Christ is telling to the and think of how invigorating that is for somebody that's poor. Think of how inspiring and comforting that is for somebody who knows they ain't got the money for the red bottoms. Think of how many people sit in that church and watch that pastor with those $1,000 clothes on and think to themselves, man, I'll never be able to afford that. I'll never be that blessed. I'll never be able to, be as rich as he is. And imagine thinking that he's rich because God is with him and you're poor because God is not with you. That is a horrible, evil thing that they teach in church. And that's a horrible way to demoralize poor people, to make them think that they are not rich because God is not with them, when in reality, the nigga that's rich is rich because he worships the devil. He's rich because he will bend over and grab his ankles in front of a white man. In many instances, they are rich because they get on their knees and let a man put his penis in their mouth. In the case of Jamal Bryant, you understand? Jamal Bryant was the homosexual subordinate of Eddie Long, and that is how he got on. That is how he became rich and went to college. Jamal Bryant said it himself. He could not pay for college. He got put through college by Eddie Long. Well, goddamn. We know what Eddie Long did to kids, right? We know what Eddie Long did to young boys. If Eddie Long was doing that to young boys and paying for them to go on beaches and trips, why did Eddie Long pay for Jamal Bryant to go to college? Somebody asked Jamal Bryant that. Jamal Bryant got a platform. Jamal Bryant got a radio show or a podcast he does. Somebody go in the comments of Jamal Bryant's podcast and ask him, what did he do for Eddie Long to pay for him to get through college? Because you think that Jamal Bryant is rich and wealthy because he serves God. Jamal Bryant is rich and wealthy because he was a homosexual that served a pastor that paid for sexual favors. That's how rich Jamal Bryant got on. Go and look at who Jamal Bryant is putting through college right now. Are there any young black men that Jamal Bryant is paying for them to get through school? Are there any junior pastors that Jamal Bryant paid for them to get their degree? Ask those young brothers, what did you do for Jamal Bryant to pay for your college? What did you do for Jamal Bryant for you to be on his radar, for him to look at you and say, yeah, this is a fine young man that deserves this money I got? That's what's going on in the Christian church. That's what Christ is warning us about in Matthew, the 6th chapter. You understand? Christ is saying you don't have to worry about being rich. You don't have to worry about having money. Just worry about obeying the Lord and God will take care of the rest of it. That's not what they're teaching in the church. Eddie Long did not teach that. Eddie Long taught you take these pictures out my phone and you come with me to this beach and I'll give you money. I'll take care of you. And these pastors today that wear these fancy outfits and dress in Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton, they like rich bitches. You understand? They like the goddamn Elizabeth Taylors of the 1960s. Elizabeth Taylor had the same wardrobe as your pastor in 2026. Why is that? Because your pastor is a rich bitch who some rich man took care of and put a foot of rod into so he could have, his church. And it's an evil, horrible, disgusting thing. And Christ called it out. Reading on in Matthew chapter 6, let's get verse 26. Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? How many of you can grow by thinking about it? Worrying about how tall you are is going to make you grow. You can't think yourself to be taller. Just like what? You can't think yourself to be richer. All the evil of today where they tell you that you could manifest wealth and manifest riches. Bitch, you think you can get rich off thinking about it? You think you can get rich worrying about getting money? That's not how that works. That's not how life works. And it's so evil, the time that we're living in, where people are being, they're playing on your poverty, playing on your hopelessness, playing on your, trusting and believing that you deserve a better life. That they tell you that all you got to do is think about it, manifest it. Keep reading. Matthew chapter 6, verse 27 now. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Christ saying what? The grass that grows, the lilies in the pond, they are more beautiful than Solomon with all his gold and all his riches and all his wealth. Meaning what? Philip Anthony Mitchell, take off that goddamn clown suit. I forget the dance. I forget the gay black pastor, some light-skinned cat with glasses. He always, he'll show up in the church on Sunday with some damn outfit, and by Monday you'll see the internet showing you how much is on a Gucci website. Christ is saying, fuck what he got on. To hell with him and his fancy gay clothes. The Lord will array you and dress you up more beautiful than that. This is a message to the poor that it don't matter what clothes you got on, man. It doesn't matter if the name brands are there. It don't matter if they're the brand new threads from Milan or from Paris or from some name homosexual. Go get them Walmart clothes. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. It's not about the clothes you have on. It's about knowing the Lord going to take care of you. Everybody understand? Matthew chapter 6, verse 30. Wherefore, if God so clothed the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. Christ is encouraging the poor. He's encouraging those who are living in great poverty, the people who worried about what they're going to drink, what they're going to wear, people worried about what they're going to eat, worried about what they're going to drink. Is that not us in 2026? Is that not you watching the gas prices rise and saying, damn, man, how am I going to pay gas, and my damn utilities? There's some places where the gas prices and the utilities have shot up. There are people literally deciding, am I going to put gas in my car, or am I going to keep the electric on? Am I going to feed my family today, or are we going to have to miss a meal so I can, keep the water running, keep the hot water running? Christ is speaking to these people and telling them that in your poverty, in the midst of this evil, put your trust in the Lord, put your faith in the Lord. Don't worry about how these things are going to be taken care of. The Lord is going to make a way. The Lord is going to take care of it. Everybody understands, and that's the time that we're living in. These words that Christ taught were comfort for the poor, comfort for the people that didn't have anything. But for the people that was chasing money, for the people who chose mammon over God, these words were condemnation. These words were a slap in the face. These words were Christ telling everybody, these rich niggas are the evilest bastards alive, and don't be nothing like them. Don't live your life. They ain't stressing about a goddamn job, stressing about you going to college and getting in debt, stressing about you trying to do this and trying to do that. They make it seem like, it's evil to go be an electrician or a plumber. You a bum ass nigga if you ain't no boss. So if I go work for a job, it's like, trying not to curse. I was an electrician when I was out of high school. And I remember being in DC, man, 2006, 2007, getting on the train after work. Getting on the train after leaving the construction site, and you're dirty and you've been sweaty at work all day. And you get on that train around, 2:30, 3 o'clock. I just got off work and the office broad just got off work. And I remember being on the train with my construction stuff, my little lunch pail in my hand and my hard hat, got my damn, my Dickies on. And I can remember these women that worked downtown, worked in these, Congress offices and wore these nice suits to work. I can remember them scoffing and frowning at me on the train, looking like, oh, this broke ass dusty nigga. Getting on the train, and you can tell that nobody wants you to sit next to them because they're a funky construction guy. And I remember I had a partner that was 2 years older than me and went to college and had graduated. And he had got one of them government jobs downtown. And while he went to college for 4 years and graduated, I just went through the apprenticeship as an electrician. And I can remember he was about 2 years out of college, and I was about 6 months from graduating my apprenticeship. And he told me that he had just got a raise. And I asked him, where you at now? And I think he told me something like he was making $25 an hour now. And I remember thinking to myself, hold up. I didn't say this to him out loud, but I thought to myself, this cat went to college for 4 years. He's been working in the government for 4 years. And he's making $4 less than me. And it was like, I can remember, it made me think back to the times that I was on the train, dusty and dirty and in construction clothes, and women was looking at me sideways. And it was like, I wish I had known then I was making more money than them. Like, if there's a cat that went to school for 4 years and been working for 4 years, and he's just making 25, I was at 25 3 years ago. Like, why? What's going on? They act like being a plumber, being an electrician, being a carpenter, being a day laborer is dishonorable. Something wrong with that. It's a job. It's a slavery. It's just a means to an end. It pays the bills. Christ is saying, don't worry about the job you do or how glorified it people make it to seem, or how people look up to you or look down on you because of what you do. You get enough money to pay your bills? Are your family eating? Do you have clothes? That's all that matters. Black people are so materialistic, and we've been played on by our oppressors to appeal to our carnal jealousies, that they know when they release some clothes, the more expensive it is, the more black people gonna break their necks to go buy it. Because there's something that's been done to the psyche of black people where our oppressor knows that we have a culture of wanting to shit on one another, to embarrass one another, to inspire each other to jealousy, to hatred. And that culture was given to us by our oppressor. That's the same culture that we're reading about here in the Bible. You understand what Christ is talking about, not worrying about why would Christ even be saying this unless there was somebody making you feel bad about the kind of clothes you got on? Unless there was somebody making you feel bad about the type of job you had. Unless there was somebody making you feel bad about the food that you was eating or where you were doing your grocery shopping. Christ is saying, man, the materialistic things of this world, they're not important. Don't worry about it, man. And that was revolutionary to give peace and calm and ease of mind to the poor. But it also spelled to the rich who depended on those things. You niggas are missing the point. You niggas are not the standard. You are not the ones that everybody should be looking up to. You are what everybody should be trying to avoid. And in 2026, that reigns true today. These pastors and these athletes and these entertainers that wear these rich gay Italian clothes and super tights and men in skirts and men with man purse bags and all of this BS that we're seeing, you should look at that and say, I don't want to wear no gay clothes. I don't care about the name that's on my clothes. All that matters is that it covers me up. All that matters is that I'm not exposing my nakedness. All that matters is that the shoes are comfortable and give me support for the arches in my feet. Don't get caught up in the materialism of this world. Everybody understands. Let's drop that now. Let's get and furthermore, being materialistic is like being like the Gentiles. It's like being like a heathen. We better than the heathens, man. We ain't gotta worry about what clothes, what name brand is on our clothes, because we know that the Most High has clothed us. And what he clothed us with is more glorious than anything else. You know what the Most High clothed us with? He clothed us with this black skin. Most High clothed us with, this nappy hair. The Most High clothed us, black men been clothed with a thing that the white man is not clothed with. There's a thing that black men carry around that, black women should be honored and loving to receive. The white man don't have that for his woman. There's a thing the Latino and the Caribbean brothers is carrying around for their women that the white man does not possess. The Chinese man doesn't possess it. You understand? The German, the French, the Italian, those men are not clothed with the greatness that God clothed his people with. God says Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed more than the grass. The grass is amazing. What do you think he clothed you with? That skin he gave you, that hair he gave you, that beard, you understand? Those muscles and, all the things that God gave you that make you great and make you beautiful. They came from the Lord. These other nations don't have that. So they got to put on the gay clothing. They got to get the name brands. The white woman got to have the Louboutins and the damn liposuction and the BBL. The white woman got to have the damn injections in her lip to make her lips fat. She got to have the Botox in the eyeballs or the eyebrows to make her eyebrows look good. Black woman, you were blessed naturally with all the things these people desire, that they want. And the message from God, the message from Christ is that you don't have to pretend. You don't have to go out your way. God has already given you everything you need. But there's rich among us who do not see that. There's rich among us who are jealous of the oppressor, and they'll turn their back on what God gave them in order to get a taste of what the oppressor has. Everybody understands. Now, let's get into some of the hate that these Pharisees and Sadducees had for Christ. Let's get into some of the evil plotting that was going on behind the scenes because of these things that Christ was teaching. Everybody understands. Let's get hold on. All right. Let's get on. Let's get John chapter 11. All right. Let's get John chapter 11. We're going to start at verse 45. Get John chapter 11, verse 45. This is what, as Christ is out teaching and performing miracles and doing amazing things, this is what was going through the minds of those who were sitting in the positions of authority and sitting in the seats of power concerning Christ. The threat of Christ was very real and was very present. And the problem that Christ presented was not a problem for the poor. The problem that Christ presented was not a problem for the meek. The problem that Christ presented was not a problem for the sick and the maimed and those in poverty. The problem that Christ presented were for those who were in power, for those who had sold out, for those who had joined the oppressor, who had chosen to serve Mammon and that God, and Christ's revolution threatened their position. And they were willing to do whatever it took to not lose their position. That's what we're going to read here. This is John, and this, as I'm reading this is how your pastors today feel about the ISUPK. This is how your politicians feel today about the ISUPK. This is why the worst thing that could happen to black leadership is for the men of the Lord and the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana to be given more platforms to speak this truth and to wake black people up. Because the more that we're able to give our people the solutions that God gave us on how to fight oppression and to rise against this oppressor, the more they lose their power and their authority, the more the white man doesn't need to depend on them to be sellouts. And they know that they will have to go back to the bottom of the barrel, and they'll do anything to stop from being bottom of niggas. Everybody understands? This is John chapter 11. We're going to start at verse 45. So this is John 11 and 45. It says, then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man does many miracles. They gathered a council and said, man, what we going to do? This nigga performing these miracles, man, everybody following him. Like, what we going to do about this thing? Verse 48, if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. They said, man, we leave this nigga alone, he going to take over. He going to take over, and the Romans ain't going to have a need for us no more. They're going to take away our seat and our nation. They're going to destroy our nation, destroy our, stronghold. And think about it today. What is the nation that black leadership is worried about being destroyed? The nation isn't talking about the country. It isn't talking about the land. It's talking about the false identity. It's talking about their place as, sellouts, as upper class, as, the next to the oppressor. These niggas were afraid that they were going to lose their authority, that they were going to lose their riches. They were afraid that the white man was going to say, we don't even need you niggas no more because, shit, this man has come in now. He got everybody in order. He got everybody in line. He got everybody doing what they supposed to do. We ain't got to worry about y'all no more. That's what's going on in the black community right now. As the white man is rolling back Voting Rights Act, as Christianity is being shown to be an illusion and a lie, as the people are wondering about the Epstein files and how come none of these pedophiles been locked up, People ain't going to church to hear no good song and a dance. People ain't listening to that pastor talking about you look better when you smile. Gas prices is too high. The world is too expensive. They need to hear a word from God. And these men knew that if they allowed for Christ to keep teaching, to keep speaking, to keep growing his following, that they were going to lose their seat. Let's read. This is John chapter 11, verse 49. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. Caiaphas said, you niggas is stupid. Y'all don't see what needs to be done? Y'all don't understand what we got to do? Caiaphas said, it's better that we kill this nigga than we let him destroy the whole nation. That's the time that's coming. That's the council that these black leaders are going to come upon. Yeah. Now, am I saying anything that's strange? What happened during the days of the civil rights movement? Anybody ever studied the conspiracy about the murder of Malcolm X and who was in on it? Don't you know that the Nation of Islam got together with the CIA and they conspired together to kill Malcolm X? Why? Because if they would have just left Malcolm alone, he would have took away the whole Nation of Islam. He would have took away all of their followers. He would have took away all of the attention. Elijah Muhammad would have dwindled into nothing. Farrakhan would have been nobody. They said, man, it's better we kill this nigga and just, get him out the way than for us to lose the whole movement. So they unalived Malcolm X. Civil rights movement. Martin Luther King had said he feared he had taken his people into a burning house. Martin Luther King had started speaking against white people, started speaking against integration and assimilation. Jesse Jackson and the rest of them cats said, man, Martin going to mess up the whole movement. We got at least 60 years of riding the coattails of the white man. If Martin just shut up, they knew Martin wasn't going to shut up. So the white man had to unalive him. All of them civil rights leaders from that era, the John Lewis in the government, and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, all of them benefited from the unaliving of Martin Luther King. The whole Nation of Islam today, the best thing the Nation of Islam could have ever did was unalive Malcolm X. Brother, if Malcolm X was not unalive, they would have still been in power. The damn, now y'all look at the unaliving of Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers, and y'all think to yourselves, yeah, man, that was the white man. He was evil. Don't you know the white man sent black people into the Black Panthers? Who do you think were the black people? The black people that were sent into the Black Panthers during COINTELPRO. Who do you think their parents were? What do you think their ethnic background was? What colleges did they go to? Did they pledge to fraternities? Like, you haven't even thought about that. Think about the black people that participated in the government taking out Fred Hampton and taking out Martin Luther King and taking out Malcolm X. Where did they find these niggas at? They found them in colleges and universities. They found them pledging to fraternities. They found them trying to join the white man's military, integrating into white society, trying to get a government job. That's where they found them. Why? Because they have always been sellouts and traitors among our people. Our oppressors have always been able to buy sellouts. Caiaphas was a sellout. Caiaphas was bought and sold by the Romans. These Pharisees and Sadducees were bought and sold by the Romans. And they looked at Christ and the amazing things Christ was doing, and they said, if we leave this nigga alone, he's going to take away everything, man. It's better that he die than all of us lose our position. You think we're going to let this nigga come and just take away all the wealth and the riches we've fed off of these people for the last 60 years? Nah, man, hell nah. Damn that, kill that nigga. That's what they said. Let's keep reading. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 51. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation. and not for that nation only, but also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. The Bible tells you who Jesus came for. Jesus didn't come for everybody. Jesus' message wasn't love for everybody. Jesus' message was the gathering together of God's children, the gathering together of God's people to be a nation again, to fight against their oppressor, to stand against the other nations that wanted to destroy us. If Christ was on the earth right now, he would be teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come back to God. He would be saying the white man is the devil. He would be saying the Chinese are heathens, the East Indians are heathens, the Africans are heathens. And you know who would hate him? Your pastor would hate Jesus Christ if he was on the earth right now. Your politician would hate Jesus Christ if he was on the earth right now, because Jesus would be saying, don't vote. Why are we participating in these white people system? They would want to kill Jesus Christ because he would threaten to take away their money. The 2819 church would want Jesus dead because what he's teaching is contradicting what they're teaching. Jamal Bryant would want the government to do something about Jesus Christ and these niggas in the street because his churches are empty on Sunday. These men that we are reading about in this Bible are the same men that exist in our society today that hate the poor, that hate the uneducated. They hate the sick. They hate the sinners. They hate the poor people that got to work these menial jobs and can't get ahead in society, that's always crying about oppression and crying about police brutality and crying about how evil the white man is. They want you to, they telling you, stop crying about the white man. The white man ain't what's keeping you down. The white man ain't what's holding you back. That's what they were saying during the days of Christ. That's what the Pharisees and Sadducees were saying. Christ was saying, you rich niggas are evil. You rich niggas are disgusting. And they were saying, you just mad because you broke, nigga. Why don't you get a job? Why don't you go make some money? You just mad because I got red bottoms on. You just mad because I ride a Rolls Royce and I got a goddamn Gucci shirt. And Christ is saying, nigga, your clothes aren't impressing me. God clothed the grass better than he clothed you. Your dumb ass think that having Gucci and $1,000 shoes on matters. You missing the point of life. If Christ was on the earth right now, they would want him put to death because everything that he teaches would dismantle and destroy black leadership in this country. It would dismantle and destroy Hispanic leadership in this country. It would dismantle and destroy all the evil sellout leaders in the Caribbean, in South America, in Canada. It would wipe out all of the sellouts. All the poor people would rise and return to obeying God. We would get off of drugs. Our women would stop being whores. Our sons would stop being homosexuals. We would stop going to prison in the white man's America. What happens if black people return to God tomorrow and there's no need for a courthouse? There's no need for a defense attorney. There's no need for a drug task force agency because we're not getting high. Nike goes out of business because we're not buying Jordans. Balenciaga goes out of business because we're not buying their shit. The East Indians go poor because black women are no longer buying bundles. The Asian nail shop shut down because now we start getting our nails done at home by the sister in the neighborhood. The African braiding shop shuts down because now black women are styling their natural hair. Don't you see the threat of a righteous man establishing in his community that we are all we got? That all we got to do is obey God and turn our back on the materialism of this world? Don't you see the threat? Don't you see why they reason they had to kill Christ? Guess what? It's what they're going to reason to do to us today. You think they ain't already plotting on us? You think they not seeing us rise and gaining traction on social media and the views are going up? You think the devil the Bible speaks of is not thinking to do anything? You think they haven't already sent agents in here? You think they're not watching right now, taking notes, reporting back what's being said? Do you think the 2819 church doesn't know about the righteous revolution of the Israelites? Do you think Jamal Bryant doesn't know about the righteous revolution of the Israelites? Do you think that Creflo Dollar and TD Jakes don't know about the righteous revolution of the Israelites? They know it. They see it. And they're reasoning among themselves, what are we going to do? Because if we leave these niggas alone, they're going to take, the white man is going to take away our seat in our nation. The Bible says that Caiaphas was not him prophesying out of himself, but it was God fulfilling what he said, which was that Christ had to die for this nation so that the children of God could be gathered together. And understand this, Christ knew this. Christ understood this, which is why he spoke the way he spoke, which is why he said what he said. And you must understand that we know this. We know what we're up against. Commander General Yohana has taught us and prepared us for what we are up against. Why do you think we say the things we say? Why do you think we talk the way we talk? You know how many times I've had niggas say to me, man, if y'all just change the message up. If we change the message up, we wouldn't be doing Christ's work. If we change the message up, we wouldn't be a threat to the powers that be. God didn't send us out to be nice. God didn't send us out to recruit those who, feel good about this thing. Christ wants the soldiers that are willing to put their life on the line, to die for the truth of the Most High, to die for their people. This is a dangerous job. I sit here every day, 3 days a week, and do this thing in front of this computer in my house, knowing it could cost me my life. But if that's what the Lord requires, then that's what the Lord gets. The Lord is looking for the men who have that spirit. He's looking for the men who can do that with their lives. That is not a regular thing. That's not a nigga don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to give my literal life for the Lord. Nah, the Lord requires that of you. The Lord determines that this is the only way that you're going to be able to live. And it's not until you acknowledge that and you give yourself over that the Lord can begin to really use you. They don't teach about the Jesus that got killed in the truth. In the church. They don't teach about the Jesus preaching that made him a threat in the church. Because to teach about this Jesus would be to expose themselves for being the people that Jesus taught against. Let's keep reading in John chapter 11. This is John chapter 11, verse 53. Then from that day forth, they took counsel together for to put him to death. You understand? They took counsel to put Jesus to death, man, because they knew the only way they was going to save their spot, only way they were going to save their position was if they took him out. Everybody understands. This is what was going on in the days of Christ. This is what was happening when he was walking the earth. This is the threat and the danger that presented itself because of him caring for the poor, because of him loving the oppressed, because of him choosing the people that they had ignored, that they had discarded, that they had deemed to be nothing but niggas and publicans and sinners and just dirty and filth that nobody wanted and nobody cared about. Those are the people that Christ came for. And it's the people that Christ has sent us out to today. There's a reason that we don't go, we ain't going to the rich neighborhood. We ain't trying to convert, the church boys. We ain't trying to convert the people that got everything to lose. We look for the people that have already lost everything. God chooses those who have lost everything. He doesn't choose those with everything to lose. Those who got everything to lose can't even really fathom what this life is about because they have too much to lose. What's the evidence of that? Let me show you. show you the problem Christ presented to those who could not relate to the work he was doing, could not relate to his message for the poor. Let's get Matthew chapter 19. It's going to be the last scripture. Let's get Matthew chapter 19. We're going to read from verse 16 down to verse 26. And this is heavy because this was revolutionary. And this is the test. This was the test to if you were serious about the Lord or not. If you was really down for your people. And what's heavy about what we're about to read is that Christ did not require anything that the Lord didn't require. This brother came to Christ and asked Christ this question, and Christ gave him the answer. You would listen to it and think it's impossible. But then you read in the Bible and you go back to Moses, and this is what Moses did. You read in the Bible and you go back to Daniel, and this is what Daniel did. You read in the Bible and you go to Mordecai. This is what Mordecai did. The thing that Christ said God requires for you to be perfect, to enter the kingdom, is the thing that is so difficult for those who have something to lose to give up. It's why God chooses those who have lost everything already. Most of us that came into the truth, we came into the truth when we had nothing else. We had nothing else. God took it all from us, which is why we came into the truth. You understand? If the Lord had given me another year or two in the world, I might not have ever came into the truth because I would have been set. I would have been good. The Lord made me come into the truth at a time when I knew I was so hopeless and had nothing else to look forward to that I was ready to give my life to him. And there's a reason why we go out there on the streets and we teach and we had these debates and we go to these events. We know there's a certain kind of brother that's going to hear the truth, and there's a certain kind of brother that's not. There's a certain sister that's going to be able to receive the words of the Lord, and then there's a sister that's going to say, man, I'm not doing it. That's crazy. And we already understand it and we get it, and we're not surprised by it because our King prepared us for it. Everybody understands. This is Matthew chapter 19. We're going to start at verse 16. It says, and behold, one came and said unto him, good master, what good thing shall I do that I may inherit eternal life? This man asked Christ, what should I do that I should have eternal life? Verse 17, and he said unto him, why callest thou me good? Why are you calling me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. You understand? Understand this. Christ never took credit for anything that the Lord did. Christ never puffed himself up. Christ never, made himself God. All Christ did was teach that the same way I am in line with the Father, you can be in line with the Father too. The same way that the Father uses me to do these great things, if you obey the Father will use you too. And anytime somebody came with, praise or bigging up Christ, Christ made sure he reduced himself. Christ said, man, why are you calling me good? There's only one good, that's the Father. But if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. Verse 18, and he said unto him, which commandments? Jesus said, thou shalt do no murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Honor thy mother and thy father. Honor thy father and thy mother. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Christ is laying down the commandments, 10 commandments. You understand? And the young man said unto him, all these things have I kept from my youth. Youth up. What lack I yet? This brother said, man, I did all of that. I've obeyed the Lord my whole life. What am I lacking? What am I missing? Verse 21, Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. Christ said, if you want to be perfect, brother, understand this. There's a difference between righteous and perfect. Righteous is the bare requirement for the Lord. The bare requirement, the least you could do is be righteous. The least you could do is obey all of God's laws. The least you could do is not eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, not vote, not be a homosexual, not have sex with white women, not molest children, not celebrate the 4th of July, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. That is the least you could do. If you want to be perfect, though, if you want to go above and beyond the bare minimum, Christ said, sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and then come follow me. Now, what is Christ asking of this man? Let me keep reading first. Verse 22. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. I mean, he knew he couldn't be perfect. He knew he didn't have what it took to be perfect. He knew that he was not as righteous as he thought he was. He came and thought that he was a good man. He thought that he was honorable and righteous. Guess what? He found out he wasn't as righteous as he thought he was. He did not believe in God as much as he thought he did. He didn't trust God as much as he thought he trusted God. It's easy to say you trust God when you got everything. It's easy to trust the Lord when you're rich and you can buy food, buy something to drink. You can take your kids to the doctor. It's easy to have faith in God then. You know what's hard to do? Is to have faith in God when you ain't got no money to pay your bills. To have faith in God when you ain't got no money to feed your family. To have faith in God, to stay obedient to God's laws when you don't know how you're going to keep the lights on and put gas in the car. Now, you could go out here and sell crack. You could go sell weed. You could go rob and bust somebody up the head and take their money. But the Lord requires you to trust in him. You could go into church and you could lie. You could lie and tell the people everything gonna be all right. God love you no matter what. God accepts the homosexual and the LGBTQ, and guess what? You'll get money to pay your bills. You'll get money to pay your rent. You'll get money to be able to buy the Louis Vuitton and the Balenciaga. You'll have money to put gas in your car and to feed your family. But you turn your back on the Lord. We're living in a time where the Lord is going to test your faith. The Lord is going to test how much you really love him. You say you love God, you say you covered by the blood of Jesus, we're going to find out. Right now, you're not. A lot of you are not. You're still eating pork and shrimp. You don't even know the beginning stages of obeying God. You don't even know the bare minimum that God requires of you. Why? Because you've been in church your whole life. You never even heard about the revolutionary Jesus that told all the rich men that they were going to go in slavery. You don't know about the revolutionary Jesus that threatened the power of the church leaders and the politicians. They never even told you about that Jesus in church. You think in church they killed Jesus because he loved everybody. Which is why when we teach this truth, y'all clutch y'all pearls. Y'all be flabbergasted. Y'all be, that ain't true. That ain't my Jesus. I know it ain't your Jesus, goddammit, because the Jesus of the Bible was a revolutionary gangster. The Jesus of the Bible was anti the oppressor. The Jesus of the Bible was a segregationist. He was not about integrating. The Jesus of the Bible would have never voted. He would have said, choose the Lord and obey him. The Jesus of the Bible would have never moved into a white neighborhood. The Jesus of the Bible would have never pledged allegiance to the flag. The Jesus of the Bible would have never celebrated the 4th of July. You niggas don't understand the Bible. You don't understand the God of this book. You don't know who Jesus is. When we tell you about Jesus, you say, not my Jesus. I know. Because you like the rich man. You want to know what it'll take for you to please the Lord? Close your church down tomorrow, Pastor. Stop paying tithes to that church and pay tithes to the ISUPK. Stop celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and celebrate the Passover. And guess what? You come in here, ain't no singing and dancing. Ain't no praise worship. Ain't no music going to be played where you can get up and dance and shake your ass and stomp your feet. You're not going to have none of that. You're going to hear the word of the Lord, and you're going to be convicted in your spirit, and you're going to be forced to examine yourself to change the things about you that God hates so that you can be acceptable before him. Ain't nobody trying to do that shit. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Niggas is trying to have fun, man. Niggas is trying to, get it in, do it big. They trying to marry and give in marriage. They don't want to hear that Jesus is about to return. They don't want to hear that America is going to be destroyed for the evil that is promoted. They trying to partake in the evil. It's all good. For every rich man that would not give up everything, there are righteous men who the Lord took everything already. We didn't have to make the choice. The Lord took it. We didn't have to decide, am I going to give away all my possessions? The Lord never let us have possessions in the first place. I ain't never had no possessions to give up. It was easy for me to serve the Lord. I never had shit. There's some of us that never had shit. And we serve the Lord. Why? Because we know that serving him going to get it to us. I could have served a white man. I could have been in the church. I could have, made $1 million teaching and preaching. But I chose to serve the Lord because I want what the kingdom got. I don't want this bootleg shit the white man got to offer. I don't want these gay clothes and these bullshit cheap-ass cars that cost an arm and a leg. I don't want that. I want a chariot that fly to Mars, nigga. I want to be able to jump in the fire like the angels did when they visited Samson's parents. You understand? I want to be able to walk through walls and walk on water and move mountains. You understand? I want the real glory. You niggas settle for the white man's Balenciaga. Shame on you, nigga. You settle for the white man's red bottom. Shame on you. You black women settle for the BBL and the down low husband instead of being with a righteous man of God and sharing him with 2 or 3 women. Shame on you. We chose the thing that was more worthwhile. And yes, we poor. And yes, we struggling. And yes, we're barely getting by. But guess what? We trust in the Lord. Do you? Let's keep reading. This is Matthew chapter 19, verse 23. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. Christ said a rich man is hardly going to enter into the kingdom. There's going to be very few rich men that enter the kingdom. Verse 24, and again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. This is Christ. This is revolutionary. Imagine you were alive in the time of Christ and you're rich. Christ saying you're not going to make it in the kingdom. You rich niggas not going to make it. In 2026, you rich, you sitting on a lot of money, you're not making it to the kingdom. There's no way. You're not. Your lifestyle is not conducive to obeying the Lord. Because of your money in this society, you can buy approval. You can buy somebody telling you that that's a good idea. You can pay somebody to tell you that everything you do is okay. Not in here you can. In the ISUPK, you cannot buy approval. In the ISUPK, you cannot buy a rank. You can't buy status in here. You're going to have to come in here and put on all black. You got to come in here and mop the floors and sweep the steps and take out the trash because that's what all of us had to do. In here, you're going to have to give 10%. You're going to have to pay alms, and nobody's going to celebrate you. Nobody's going to say, hey, man, I want to acknowledge brother so-and-so and give him a big shout out for the huge donation he gave. You're not going to get none of that in here. We go out and do a clothing drive and a food drive. We ain't bringing the band out and bringing all the news cameras down. We're going to go right there in the projects and set up and hand them out. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to go right to Binghamton with a table and some clothes and a sign that say free clothes and some flyers. And we're going to feed the people, and nobody's ever going to know we were there. Nobody's even going to acknowledge it. Nobody's even going to care. And guess what? It ain't going to matter to us because we did it for the Lord to see. We did it for the people to know that there are some righteous men out here who the Lord is going to send to make sure that you clothed and that you fed. And all you got to do is obey him. You ain't got to stress yourself. You ain't got to sell drugs. You women ain't got to go sell your vagina on Lamar Avenue to be taken care of. You could come in here and get help and receive the services we got. And guess what? You don't have to have a penis shoved inside of you to get help in here. There's sisters in here who've been in this school. They get counsel. They get help. Guess what? Nobody wants to have sex with them. Nobody's trying to have sex with them. Nobody knocking down their camp leader's door to court them. Listen, if the Lord want the sister to have a man, the sister will ask and she maybe could court a man. But until then, we'll just let the sister be who she is. We'll let her live her life. We ain't gonna chase her and run her down and try to force her. Nah. You don't being in here and getting the help, it doesn't come with a penis. Nobody's gonna expect you to open your legs. You just get the help and get told what you need to do, and if you obey, then your life will improve. If you disobey, hey, Lord be with you. Everybody understands. Let me keep reading. So Christ said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Meaning what? It's easier for a poor person to receive this. It's easier for the people in poverty to receive this. It's easier for the people who have nothing to lose to give their lives to God. But for the people who got status and reputation and, they business adventures and their corporate deals and their sponsorships, they not giving that shit up for this. For what? For a God that I can't see? For a promise or some shit? For maybe we might take over? You mean to tell me I'm going to give up all this money and all my sponsorships and endorsement deals because there may be a God, there may be a black man with 100,000 angels coming out the sky to kill white people and put them in slavery? You niggas are crazy. You are insane if you believe that. I know we are crazy and we are insane. You want to know why? Because we don't have nothing else we don't have nothing else but the hope and the prayer that the words of this book are real, that the words of this book gonna come to pass, that there's gonna be a nigga with 100,000 angels come out the sky and defeat the white man's military and deliver us out of captivity, and we rule the earth. If you got money to plan for the next 100 years of your family, you don't have to believe in this Bible. You don't have to have this faith that we have. You can just go to the, you can go to the damn Santorini, Greece. You ain't gotta, like, what we live in and what we believe in is foreign to you. And we understand that, we know, which is why we're not trying to recruit you, nigga. We're not begging you to come give up your riches and your wealth. We just out there teaching to the poor. And if a rich man happens to hear and say, man, what can I do? You got to give up everything. And is that too much to ask? What did God require of Moses? Moses was rich in Pharaoh's house. Moses saw the oppression of his people. He risked it all. Moses unalived an Egyptian for his brother's sake because he loved his brothers. And then what? Moses had to go on a run. Moses left that life of luxury. Moses went and lived as a sheep herder. Moses went and lived as a man helping another man get water from the well for his daughters. You understand? Moses did the honorable thing. Look at Daniel in the book of Daniel. Daniel was of the elite class of Israelites that was brought into Babylon, the children of the princes of the Israelites. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in the face of the Babylonians and said, we not bowing down to that statue. We not worshiping that God. It's the same thing as not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The same thing as not, celebrating the holidays. And they said, man, we're going to put you in that goddamn furnace and burn you up. They said, burn us then, nigga, burn us. We would rather burn than to bow down. They put them niggas in the furnace, and God sent an angel in there to protect them in a goddamn invisible bubble. You understand? God protected them in the fire. They threw Daniel in the lion's den, and the Lord made the lions not even hungry. They wasn't even looking at Daniel. They was like, shit, nigga, we in captivity like you in captivity. Does anybody ever look at Daniel in the lion's den and say to yourself, these lions had no way out? These lions was in a damn ditch in the ground where they couldn't go hunt and get food for themselves. These evil bastards threw Daniel in the lion's den, and the lions looked at Daniel like, oh, shit, you in here too? Yeah, man, it's fucked up. This shit rough. And the lions was in there with Daniel, did not eat Daniel because Daniel trusted in the Lord. You understand? They gave up their riches, was willing to give up their position. Mordecai in the book of Esther. Mordecai was in the king's court, outside the king's gate. Mordecai had money. Mordecai wasn't no broke nigga. How you think Mordecai was able to put Esther in the pageant and get her recognized for her beauty? Mordecai had money. Mordecai had the job every day. See Haman come through there. Mordecai was not bowing to that devil. Mordecai said, who this nigga that I'm supposed to bow, man? I'm an Israelite, man. I'm the chosen people of God. We don't bow to nobody. And they tried to get Mordecai unalived, hung on the damn thing. Tried to get all of Israel wiped out because of the audacity of Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow. You understand? Mordecai went and told Esther, you better put your queenship on the line. You go in there and you talk to the king. If it costs you your life, so what? If the king throw you away and get you out of the kingdom and you lose all your riches, so what? Go and plead for your people. Esther went and did it. So to ask a rich man to give up all his possessions, that ain't too much. You're just a greedy bastard. You just don't love God or your people enough. You know what? You just don't trust the priest of the Lord. You won't sell all your possessions and give your money to the priest because you don't trust us. What you think? We're going to spend your money? You think you're going to sell your house or give us the deed and we're going to not make sure your kids are taken care of? You think you give us the money, we just going, I don't know what you think. But you don't have the faith and the trust of the Lord that these righteous men of our progeny have had. You don't have what they had. Christ said it's going to be easier for a camel to squeeze through a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. This is Matthew chapter 19, verse 25. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? They said, well, damn, who could be saved? I guess crazy that what you just told that man to do, what you just told him to do was crazy. Like, nobody gonna be saved then. If having money means it's going to be hard for you to get in the kingdom, ain't nobody going to get saved. Matthew chapter 19, verse 26. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And that is where we are today in 2026. We must remember that with man, it is impossible to do what God requires. In the church, it is impossible to do what God requires. If you chasing after money and chasing the American dream, it is impossible to do what God requires. But if you come and you serve the Most High, if you give your life to the Most High, if you come into the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana and you sit in these classes and you take notes and you learn and you ask questions and you understand the Bible and you see how history is repeating itself in modern times and you look at the things that they did in the past to get salvation and to be delivered and you apply it to the work that we're doing in the ISUPK today, then you can begin to reason that, damn, we might be actually doing the thing that God said we're supposed to do. We might be actually on the precipice of pleasing the Lord enough that he sends our king and the kingdom of heaven comes. We might actually be able to see the coming of the Son of Man if only we can obey the Lord. If only we can be righteous. If only we can be willing to give whatever it takes so that our nation will rise. With that, clap it up. With the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, the ISUPK has been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. All you brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. I teach these classes down here in Memphis Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know what I'm saying? Y'all brothers and sisters, man, tap in, reach out. You know what I'm saying? Become a part of this movement. Become a part of this righteous body that the Lord is raising up. It is never too late for you to become who the Lord called you to be. It's never too late for you to give your life to the Most High and begin to, understand your purpose and your meaning in this life. And I pray for all brothers and sisters that you will hear this word of the Lord, that you will change your life and you will be able to see the day that the salvation that we have prayed and worked so hard for come to this earth. With that, I'll see y'all for class tomorrow. Lord alive, General Muhammad, that teaching.